Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be talking about how to make pop-ups for Angular 4. So one of the reasons I'm making this tutorial is because I had quite a bit of trouble finding a good Angular pop-up tutorial, especially a good video tutorial. So figured I would show you guys how I ended up doing it, and hopefully you'll have an easier time with it. So as you can see, I'm just starting by installing a new project. So I did ng new pop-up tutorial using the Angular CLI to create a project with everything basically set up for you. So that's definitely how I would recommend creating a project. Looks like it's just finishing up. Okay, so in this tutorial I'll just be creating a simple one-page app with a pop-up that comes up, right as you open the app. You put in some information, hit submit, and it'll log it to the console just to make sure everything's working. So let's start by importing and installing some packages that we'll be needing. So I found a couple helpful websites for this from the Angular website. This one is on getting started with Angular materials. So we'll want to be installing the Angular material library. So we'll start with that. And we'll also need to install this animations library. Oh, I forgot to cd into the right directory here. So what did I call it? Pop-up tutorial. Oops. Okay, now I can run that command. Alright, and then I also found this page that had some information about themes for your Angular app, because we'll also be needing a theme. So you might want to take a look at that one as well. Alright, and I think I copied this animations. So I'll install that, and then I'll get to importing it into our project. Okay. So let's go back, go to our source, app module. This is where we'll be doing a lot of our imports and putting things into our package. So I'm just going to do a little copying and pasting to save time. So what we will need is the material module from Angular Material that we just installed. And we'll also need the browser animations module. And I think that came with what we just installed for animations. Okay, and then we'll want to put these in our import. So include materials module here, as well as browser animations module. Okay, so that looks pretty good to start with. We'll come back to this after we've created our dialog component and whatnot. But next I'd like to go and include our theme. So in our index.html file, under the head, let's include a link. Copy and paste. Okay, a link to one of the pre-built Angular themes, which I think these actually look pretty nice. Yeah, it's one of the benefits of using this Angular library for your pop-up, that in Angular doesn't really like you to do it any other way and causes some trouble if you do. But yeah, so now we have our theme. We've imported some of the modules that we'll be needing. And let's see, I guess the next step would be to create our actual pop-up component. So to keep things organized, I'll make a new file, pop-up, and let's create, sorry, did I say file? Folder. Anyway, pop-up dot component dot ts. Okay. Okay, and we'll also need a HTML and a CSS file. HTML and our CSS. Okay, so those are the files we'll need for our pop-up itself. To save some time, I'm just going to copy over some code from my app component. Copy and paste. Okay. I'm going to have to obviously change a few things here. So for the selector, I found that you cannot, I repeat, cannot use the selector of just dialog. That messes things up because it conflicts with some other selector. So instead, do something like my dialog or something specific there. Then I gotta change a couple other things here. So okay, let's just call this dialog. That you can just call dialog if you'd like. And so the final step of this one, I think we have to create a constructor. So constructor, can't type today. Okay, and so we're gonna want a public reference to MD dialog reference that's of type dialog. So in order to do that, we're gonna first need to import. I think we really just need MD dialog reference, but anyway, I'll leave that as is. And here, our public variable, let's call it dialog ref. And it's going to be a MD dialog reference, actually. And we want to be of type dialog because that's what our component is. Okay, so now it has a reference to work with when we're creating our pop-up. I think that's all the work we need to do there. And let's see, let me copy in just some code to save time here for HTML. There we go. I had to select it first. Okay. So as you can see, there's some just normal HTML elements here, headers, divs, labels, that sort of thing. But I also have this MD input container, and that's where I'll put some input that's this MD input type, and I did that for what I'm going to call the nickname as well as the student ID. This one's text type, so you can see the text. This one's password, so you just see the little circles. So there's the inputs. You can see they're called there. And then we're going to have this dialog action, which is a MD button. And so when the user clicks that, it's going to do this dialog reference.close. So it's going to take our reference and it's going to actually close the pop-up window. And when it does that, it's going to send in this object with our nickname value and our student ID value, because this is our nickname and our student ID. Oh yeah, it looks like it cut off, just it says submit. Okay, and you can ignore that error message thing. Now that we've made our components for our pop-up, we still need to use that component in our app. So let's go to our base app component here. I guess I'll just change the name here to like pop-up app. I think there's some HTML that comes with this that we don't really want. So let's just get rid of all this stuff. There we go. Probably need a closing tag though. So let's just do dash h1. Okay. Good to go. Don't really need any CSS there. Okay. So this is where it gets kind of tricky, I would say. We're going to need to do some imports, so we'll need our MD dialog. Let's just do one thing at a time here. Okay. So our MD dialog and MD dialog ref. And then we'll need our actual dialog component that we just created. Let's get that in there as well. And now we can create a dialog ref that is of type MD dialog ref and uses our dialog component. Okay. In our constructor, where we'll be actually creating this, or causing the pop-up to open, let me start writing that constructor. Need a public dialog variable. And this is MD dialog. I'll explain what that does in a minute. And I'm gonna just create a method in this class called open dialog. You can really call it whatever you want, but this one name seems to make sense. So let me just go ahead and create that. Okay. So now that we have this dialog variable that's of type MD dialog, we'll be using that to open our dialog and store it in our dialog reference class variable there. So we're going to let this dot dialog ref equal this dot dialog. So now we're using this dot to open a new dialog. Okay, now that we've opened it, we can reference it and subscribe to it after it's been closed. So dialog reference dot after closed dot subscribe, and then create a function, take the result, and we're just going to log the result for now, just so you can see that it's working. Result. Okay. So, just to go over all of that again, we're going to create this MD dialog variable, and we're going to use it to open a dialog component and start in our dialog ref variable, which is this MD dialog ref. And then, we open it and we have this reference to it, and then once it's closed, this will be called, or we'll subscribe to when that's called, take the result, and log it. So just to go back to our pop-up really quick, show you what's happening. So now when we have this close method called, it sends these values that we've entered, and so whatever subscribing to that will get those values. Okay. Let's see if there's anything I missed. I think that might be everything we need. Let me at least start serving this. Might take a little while to build and whatnot, so get the process going there. So if you're not familiar with the CLI, they'll just create a little lightweight server for us to see our app with. And then you'll have to go to localhost 4200 to actually see the app. Yeah, I think this is from the last time I did it, but oh, is it done yet? Okay, compiled successfully. Reload the page. Yeah, something went wrong. Okay. Found for dialog entry components. Okay. So yeah, we gotta go back to our app modules folder really quick and finish that up. So yeah, we didn't even import our dialog yet. We need to do that. So I am, okay. Dialog from, that's in our pop-up, pop-up slash pop-up dot component. Is that right? Pop-up dot component. Okay, just took a second. And I usually like to separate these Angular imports from my other ones. So one thing we'll have to do is declare it. And we will also have to do something. Oh yeah, we'll have to include it in our entry components. So that's something that's kind of unique, I guess, about these pop-ups. So entry components, oops, and dialog. Okay, so now we've declared it and put it in our entry components. So I think that will solve the issue we were just having. All right. Looks like it's working. Cool. Okay, so now for the test. Put a little nickname, student ID or whatever. Okay, yeah, and you can see that we received our result object in our app component and it logged it to the console. So now we have our working pop-up and it's sending information. So looks good to go. So that's this brief tutorial on Angular pop-ups. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you won't have quite as much trouble as I did just getting these pop-ups to work. I know it's a little bit of trouble getting everything imported and set up, but I think the result actually looks pretty good, and I'm not really sure if there's another good way to do it for Angular 4. So yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. Hopefully I can answer them, and tune in next time. Thanks.